Hey, everyone, welcome, and thank you for your patience. We are starting right now. We have just sent in the chat a link where you can access the auto-generated transcription and translations. For all the questions, please send them to the Git server in the channel workshop Q&A. Link to our Git server is also in the Zoom chat. Now I will hand it off to Anand Agrawal to talk about Talent Hub, making your dream team a reality. Enjoy.
Sweet. Thanks a lot. Can't wait to get started. All right, let me quickly share my screen here. Cool. Hopefully everyone can see it well. Great. So as Rocket Boy said, I'm Anant, and I'm the product manager for Talent Hub. There's a lot of really exciting things I want to talk to you about today. The three things are, why is co-creation so important? Why is it so cool to be able to work with other people? And when's the right time to look for teammates? The second thing I want to talk about is how can you really leverage the resources that Roblox provides in order to do this co-creation and really build with others? And what does the future of Talent Hub look like? Now, I'm really excited to present, not only what I've found being a product manager for Talent Hub, but give tips and tricks from some top devs and accelerator and studio programs. So this information is not just coming from me, it's coming from some top developers and top teams that have created some really successful games. Sweet. So let's get started. Why create together? When should you start looking for someone to work with? And why would that be such an exciting thing to try to do? So I guess the simple and most straightforward business reason is that top teams create top experiences. So while there are tons of really talented individual developers that are creating games by themselves, these days it's more common for a top 250 by playtime game to be created by a team as opposed to by a single individual. And so it's really easier to be more successful if you work with a great team. But there's a lot of other reasons. When we talked to top devs, they gave us tons of reasons why they loved working with their teammates. The first is that they really liked being able to focus on their strengths. Creating a game is such a big thing to do with so many different parts. Being able to focus on what you love doing the most and really building that expertise can be really helpful, especially when you put together people with expertises from all different sides of building a game. Another top developers sort of help share that creating a team helps them avoid burnout. So they just had too many tickets, they had so many ideas, and they could never execute. And getting that extra few people to give a helping hand really helped them avoid completely burning out. And that is something that can be really good to make sure you avoid. And the last one is that all the developers really agree that when you have the right team, working with them makes the creation process just so much more fun and exciting. And to me, that's a really meaningful part of the co-creation experience. Sweet. And the thing I really wanted to stress is that when we think about working with other people, co-creating, meaningfully, getting help, it's not just about creating a game. It's not just builders and scripters, and UI design. You can work together to get help with anything that you need to make your game successful. So I really want to encourage people to think creatively about what getting help could mean. Adding a team member could mean getting help with social media or business development and getting more players. It could mean getting voice actors for specific things, or even translating your game into completely different languages so you can, attract a whole new user base. So I think beyond the traditional ways of thinking, there's a lot of ways that people can help each other on Roblox, and I'm really excited that we can maybe help enable that. Cool. So now that we've kind of talked about why co-creation can be so exciting and how to really think creatively about it, let's talk about Talent Hub, right? You're sold, you want to co-create, but how do you go about doing it? It's a big world out there. There's a lot of Roblox developers. How do you find your co-creation soulmate? So let's take a quick start with what Talent Hub is. Talent Hub is a talent marketplace for the Roblox creator community. If I can quickly kind of share the product live here. If you go to talent.roblox.com, you can essentially see it looks a lot like a jobs board where you can essentially post jobs and look for creators to apply to those jobs that fit that project. And you can also find creators who have all sorts of skills and experiences that you can kind of view their resume on Talent Hub. So that is kind of a quick summary of what it is. And basically, how do you use it? What's the best way to get the most out of this tool? Well, I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of two people. The job seeker. So if you're someone that is super talented, you love creating games and you have a specialty and you're looking for a project to join, how can you really go about doing that effectively on Talent Hub? And I'm also going to talk about it from the perspective of a job poster. If you are a couple, men or women or anything short, then how do you kind of find that team? So let's start with the job seeker. How can you really use Talent Hub as a job seeker looking for cool projects? Sorry, cool. So the first advice I'd always give is that it's really tempting to go into Talent Hub, create your resume, and just start applying to jobs. And that's great. You should definitely do that. But it can help to take a step back and make sure you check out the competition. So, as you're someone that's looking for jobs, like who are other people with the same experience as you, with the same skills as you? How do they show themselves on Talent Hub? What kinds of things, what kinds of words do they use? How do they really show off their expertise and their experiences? Getting a bit of context on what others are doing and how they're showing off their profile can really help you be more successful and understand what the best way to present yourself is. I also recommend creating some sort of place to track all of your jobs, track when that job's going to expire, because job postings on Talent Hub do expire, what the compensation is, and then really try to get an understanding of what's the range of compensation, like what are these jobs offering? How can you compare one to another? Is this one much lower than the average? Is it much higher? Again, getting that context can really help empower you when you get started looking for a job that you would really love. And this last one, I think, is actually one of the most critical things. Joining communities of similar interests can really be empowering. When you're looking for jobs alone, it's really hard to say, is this person not paying me enough? Are they paying me too much? Does this role look like it's scoped well? So if you can really work with others and look for jobs together and maybe compare notes and say, oh, okay, this seems pretty standard. This is a good experience. Or even find someone that that knows a person, try to get like a referral or connect to an employer through someone that then that can really be super helpful. And so I always recommend, join a community. It's always more fun to do things together. Cool. So now that you have the context, what do you do next? Well, now I think it's time to finally build your profile. So on Talent Hub, you can essentially showcase your resume, and anyone who thinks that you're an interesting fit can just invite you to apply for a job that they think you're a good fit for. So even if you're just kind of sitting after you create your profile, you may still get jobs that are of interest. So I think that's really one cool feature of Talent Hub. And people ask me like, hey, how do I build my profile? What should I sort of focus on? And I kind of think of it as this like 3-rule, it's kind of hierarchy. The first thing you really want to show is your clout. So if you kind of look at this example profile on the right, like this person's talked about how, they've contributed to 1.2 billion visits, how they were in the accelerator program, how they won a game jam. So to me, like what they're really showcasing is their clout, like they know what they're doing, they're going to be successful, they've had a lot of successes, they're someone that, they maybe were a part of a game that people would recognize. So if you have that, awesome, show your clout, be proud about it. That's great. But a lot of us don't have clout. It's not as easy to get as much clout. So the next thing I try to recommend is using statistics. So just like here, he said he's contributed to 1.2 billion visits. I really urge people, be quantitative. Instead of telling them that you're great or they've created a top experience, what does that mean? Like how much play time did it get? How many visits did it get? Was it in a top sort? Any small number of things. I think being quantitative and really specific can help bring confidence that you know what you're doing and help really convey that with showing as opposed to just telling. And I know that even that can be tough, right? Not all of our games get, millions of hours of playtime. So I think this third one anyone can do. It's just about being really thoughtful. Like what exactly is the role that you want? Like have you really thought it through? Are you really specific? Are you using the terminology that, people with high talent, high competence use? Can you really show that you know what you're doing well? If you're very thoughtful and you kind of visually show what you want to do, I think that can really set you apart, even if you don't have the clout and statistics. And I think that kind of goes into the next thing, which I said is kind of like be visual. So just to give you a few more examples of what I think some good profiles look like, because I feel like that's usually the best way to learn. Like if you look at this one on the left, this person has given lots of images of what their game looks like, and it just immediately shows that this game looks pretty cool. The visuals are really stunning. They're high fidelity. They look like they're really made by someone with a good experience. And so I feel like being visual and uploading embedded images to your profile, which is a feature we released recently, actually. So that can really help go give your credibility. And some other things I really liked about this profile, like this one on the right, they do a really good job of being specific about what they're open to do. So like here they kind of say that, they work on food, drink, dessert models for cafe or restaurant type builds. That's really specific. If I'm building a restaurant type game, like I can immediately go to this and easily see that like they're a great fit. They're working on exactly what it is that I want to build. So that's really exciting. And I also think what really helps is giving links. A lot of information on Talent Hub is self-reported, like what game you built, how many visits it has. And so giving people a way to maybe verify some of this information or just to get a better sense of your clout or statistics is really great. So like sharing a link to your Twitter or your dev forum where people can see like what your dev forum status is, or even just the Roblox games in general. I think that really helps give extra color to your profile. So cool. Sweet. The next piece of advice that I really give is be patient. So it can be frustrating. You go to Talent Hub, you enter in some filters, and you might not find someone exactly for what you're looking for. But thousands of people are entering the marketplace every single month. And so just because they're not here yet doesn't mean they won't be there the next time you join. So hiring and finding teammates, it's a long process and it can take a good amount of time. But if you're patient, you check back often, you look beyond the first page. I think a lot of hidden gems are beyond the first few pages. And they don't get nearly as much attention, but they're just as qualified. And so I think hopefully that can really help boost your chances of finding someone that will be a successful team member. Cool. So that's my quick summary there on advice I would give to how we can really use Talent Hub, and just generally like what's good advice on trying to find the right project for you. But what if you're looking for someone? What should you then? How does that process work? I'd still say a lot of the advice is really similar. The first advice that I actually got from top devs from the accelerator program is take the long view. A lot of times people look for teammates because there's some burning need, like they need to create this model, they need to finish this project. But what about after that? This is a person that's going to be joining your team. They may be super high talent and a great fit. So what are they going to do after the first task is done? Where are they going to grow? What's their long-term place on the team? It can be really tough, but kind of trying to predict the future and think about not just how to solve your short-term need, but really in the long term, how you're going to cohesively build this team together can help you be much more successful. I think that's something I never considered until I heard it from a top dev. So it can be hard to think about. Cool. Next thing, same thing goes, just like for job seekers, job posters, you should also check out the competition. What are other people, what kind of compensation are other people giving for the job that you're kind of trying to post? What's the context of the community members or the creators that you're looking at for? What kinds of skills do they have? What's their average years of experience? I think keeping this all in some centralized place can really make life a lot easier. And again, just like for job seekers, like joining communities of high talent, doing things together, hiring together, getting referrals and talking to other people can really boost your chances of success. And a lot of this, I think, is again the same. So like, do a great job with your job posting. Be really specific. So like here on this job posting on the right, we kind of have a lot of great requirements. Like, must be creative, have great communication skills. They've really taken the time to think thoroughly about what they're looking for. And they've also taken the time to really talk about who they are and why joining them is so exciting. So I think this is an example of a great job posting. And just again, to give a few more, this is another job posting I really like. They're really specific when it comes to compensation, how much compensation they're going to receive, how they're going to receive it, how to get in touch with them, really thinking through the whole process of how do you get this person impressed and excited? How do you convey to them exactly what it is they're going to do so they can determine if they're qualified? How are you going to reach out to them? And then how is payment going to happen? I think that really shows that you're thoughtful. And even if you don't have the biggest clout, like being thoughtful and having everything well researched out builds a lot of confidence that you're someone that's good to work with. Another quick thing I wanted to point out is that, they're able to kind of add a trailer or a way to sort of see a short video or again, really check out like their gaming experience. And I think that's really cool. If you can go in and really just see what this person is all about, what have they been building, and if that's exciting, I think that will really help. Cool. Sweet. And again, same thing. If you're a job poster, you don't find people right away, don't give up. Same, like thousands of people are joining every month. So check back often, look beyond the first page. That should help you as well in finding the right creator. Cool. So that's my overview. I think that hopefully can give you a little more context on what the right way to find your co-creation soulmates is, or not the right way, like one good way to do it. Just some other tips and tricks I wanted to sort of give that top accelerator devs had told me. The first one, I think this is a big one, is be aware of scope creep. It's really easy to get a job and it feels well defined, but then people want modifications. They want you to do a little bit more or build a second model. Like that's totally natural to some degree, and it happens. But you want to be really careful to make sure that they're not asking too much of you. If you've agreed on a specific set of expectations, once you start feeling that are kind of going way above those, then like you should maybe rediscuss. Like, hey, like this is a compensation we discussed for getting this done. Is there going to be more compensation for doing this other thing? Or hey, maybe I can help find someone else here that will be a good fit for this. I don't have the bandwidth. It can be really tough, but this happens a lot. And so I think you got to try to be aware of it and make sure that you're doing justice to both the people that you're asking to work for you and the people you're working for, and what you kind of agreed upon beforehand. Which gets me to my second point, and I guess I should give this disclaimer here: not at all legal advice, not a legal professional in any way, just passing down tips that I've heard from others, and feel free to do what kind of makes sense for you and your team. But get it in writing. Do agree on what you want to do beforehand instead of afterwards, or making it very vague and unclear. I think a lot of teams can benefit from making it really, really precise and having it easily written down and readable from both parties on what it is that you're going to be expecting out of a candidate. And like I said, if you're really specific, that also helps give candidates confidence that you know what you're doing. And the third thing I'd say is like payment milestones. So, half when you start, half when it's done, or half when half of it is completed. I think instead of having something where a lump sum is given at the end, having smaller pits break it out is something that top devs have said it really helped them. So not legal advice, but I think that can be good to keep in mind. Some other quick tips about really going the extra mile and making sure you have a great experience or find a great team member. Trust but verify. Like I said, putting those links in so people can really see that you are who you say you are, that they can experience your games. That is really helpful. And also, checking references, I think totally makes sense. Definitely a standard in, in a lot of industries. So asking about who people I've worked with before, what kind of work did they do? How did it go? And even the other way, if you're working for an employer, who works for them, can one of their employees kind of give a reference on what that experience was like, what the process was like. I think that extra work can help save a lot of effort in the long term. Cool. I think that's most of what I have to talk about. I really want to hear from you, what you have to say. Just a few resources to kind of post in the chat. This is the developer handbook, can really help you grow and scale your team. And then there's also a sample contract on this website. Hopefully that can help shed some light on how to get it in writing. And then I don't think we have the exact date for RDC, but that is a huge conference where you can see really cool talks just like this one happening in September. So I definitely would recommend going to that. And cool. The last quick thing I want to discuss is, we've built a lot of great things in Talent Hub. We're really proud of the product, and it's already supporting tons of people getting hired every month. But we know that there's a lot of space to help even more people. And so, we've heard a lot from the community about how to make Talent Hub better, and we are, very much listening as best we can. So we want to try to make sure that Talent Hub supports mobile. That's something that we do have plans for. We're also hoping to help people work together to hire. So if you're a professional studio, you can showcase your experience and work together to kind of help candidates. So that's something else we're kind of hoping to work on. And then we also know that there's some better ways that we can help with search and improve our filters. And so that's something else. So, Talent Hub is always growing. If you be patient with us, we'll do our best to really make it better and better. And so, and if you have anything that we can improve, always feel free to let us know. Even if it's slow, we we're definitely working on it and trying our best to listen and make sure that we're building what's most helpful for you. Now I actually have this really exciting activity I was hoping we could do. Happy to answer questions, take any Q&A, but if you want some live feedback on your profile, we can try to give that. So if you go to tom.roblox.com, create your profile or have questions when creating your profile, we can wait like 5-10 minutes or how much ever time we have left, and then maybe give some feedback. So I think if you can post your profile link in Gilded, I think specific channel, maybe in Talent Hub questions, then that would be super helpful, and we can try to see a little improv off the fly if that will make sense. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks a lot. I hope this was helpful.
Yes, just like Anand say, let's get to the Q&As. Please remember to send all your questions to our Gilded server in the channel workshop Q&A. Link already in the Zoom chat.
I think there are 2 questions in the Talent Hub questions channel as well. And if you have that handy. You're muted, sorry. Anand, you're muted.
Tips for beginners. Yes. I think this is a great question. Like, what if you don't have a lot of experience under your belt? You don't really have, a ton of jobs that you've already done. I do think kind of having a portfolio is really helpful, but I don't think you need to work with anyone else to sort of showcase that. So like if, you can create sketches or drawings or just create little games on your own, even without any team or having any official project, even if it doesn't have, a lot of plays or visits, I really believe in show versus tell. So I think taking the time to really hone your skills and, create something just for the sake of creating something as high quality as possible can be really helpful. And then I'll also kind of regurgitate that I think joining the right communities is really helpful. And so Talent Hub is awesome. And if you have a great portfolio, I think it can really showcase. But a lot of great teams also meet through like chance encounters. And so if you're talking to the right people, if you're finding the right communities and really like learning and growing from people, I think that can be another great avenue of finding projects. But, don't feel like you just have to go out, join Roblox, and then start on Talent Hub. I really think, kind of honing your craft and really taking the time to get what you're good at, know your worth, and know what you enjoy doing, and building that portfolio, even if it's by yourself, is worthwhile. Cool. Next question. How can developers discover my job postings on Talent Hub? That's another great question. So if they just go to talent.roblox.com, they should immediately kind of start seeing job postings. And if they're not specifically looking for yours, if they apply like the right filters and they search the right terms, then your job should come up. But otherwise, you can also just directly copy that link of your job posting once it's been through moderation and it's published, and just share that everywhere. And as soon as people have the URL to your job posting, they should be able to immediately find it. So I think sharing that link around is usually a good resource. Cool. Will Talent Hub have trade shield like Fiverr in the future? I'm actually not as familiar with the trade shield badge. We are considering a verified badge on Talent Hub and adding more ways to showcase whether you are a top dev, or if another thing we're considering, but we're still figuring out what the priority of it is, badges. So if you've done a hackathon or you're a UGC creator, we're still not exactly sure where in the roadmap this is going to fit, but we are considering different ways of certification and verification to make sure that people know who you are and that it is like a trustable signal. Sweet. All right, I'm gonna read this next one. When it comes to developers getting paid, what do you suggest people use? Many people can't get paid in USD. The group payouts isn't a great option. There are also cuts when it comes to t-shirt payments. Yeah, this is an amazing question about payment. I think we definitely know this is a pain point, and we're kind of internally brainstorming the best way to make it easier to make payments between creators. But I'm not sure, Jed, if you want to chime in here, and you might have advice on this that might be better than mine.
Yeah, I think so. Payments are an interesting one, right? Money has many legal repercussions and implications across different countries. So right now, yes, like group payouts is one of the best ways, but Talent Hub does also support job postings to be USD type. And people can use PayPal or any other transaction kind of platform that they want to. But yeah, as Anant says, like, this isn't fantastic. So it is definitely something we're thinking about, but it is a big can of worms as well. And we want to make sure we do it in a very thoughtful way that's going to work for absolutely everyone.
Cool. Let's move on to the next question. Any tips on how I can check references of an applicant? I'm new and not very well acquainted in the community. Yes, that can be really tough. You have this applicant come in, their Roblox username, but not much else to kind of go on. I don't think it is the end of the world to actually just ask them. If you feel like they're a good fit and you are able to sort of start the chat on Talent Hub and start communicating with them, maybe asking for, hey, like, we'd love to have you on board, but if there's anyone else you can connect us to, maybe on a platform that kind of makes sense and works for all parties, I think that's totally fine. You don't need to be investigative journalist and try to figure it out or really put in a ton of effort. I think just asking them, even if it's references that they've chosen, I think that's pretty much an industry standard and hopefully shouldn't come across too strange. Cool. People can't read my portfolio without having a Roblox account and an account on Talent Hub. Can this be changed? Although it may be tacky, sharing my work with future employment isn't currently possible. So if you have an account on Roblox, you should already be able to access Talent Hub, easily see all of the profiles and job postings. We have considered in the past making Talent Hub accessible without needing to log in or without needing a Roblox account, but we still haven't really landed on where this is going to be in the priority queue. So I totally hear your use case. I totally see where you're coming from on this. I think we'll have to go back and continue thinking about it, and we'll get back. We'll maybe get back to the community, and if it feels like something that's a top priority for us. I think that's everything. We can wait a little bit longer to see if anyone else has questions. Cool. I think I'm happy to stay here till the full 11:45, but yeah, if that's most of the questions, feel free to go and visit some of the other talks, but I'm happy to just kind of chill for the next 10 minutes. And if you guys have any other feedback or comments, not questions or anything, feel free to share anything that you feel will be helpful. Happy to hear from you. A few more questions now. I think this is the contract, or I'm not sure if it's meant to say contact. Why don't I just answer both? So in terms of the contract here, I can bring this up. I think this would be a helpful resource. Cool. So if you go to the link posted in the chat, this is kind of general resources around growing and scaling. And I think they have some like really cool talks from people at Roblox that have talked about how to scale up their teams, just other general business resources. If you go here to the sample contributor agreement, that's where you can sort of see the contract form. And this is, I think, like not something you have to completely use and copy, but it tries to really explain what the different parts of the contract are and why they're kind of helpful. There is some legalese here. I think we might try to make this a little less high friction and try to make it maybe a little even easier to understand. But hopefully it's kind of a good place to start to try to understand like what an agreement might look like, you know, what the different legalese parts are. And so I think that is kind of about the contract. But I also think like the contract isn't just about, you know, some of the things mentioned here. It's also about really defining what the thing is that you're asking for. Like if you want someone to create a model, like what's the definition of done, right? Like when do you know that that model is finished? Maybe, you know, how long do you expect it to take? How many hours do you expect it to take? I think all of those things are really important parts of the contract. So this isn't exactly on Talent Hub, but it is just kind of a free and open resource on Roblox. And if you meant to more talk about contact form instead of contract form, currently on Talent Hub, the way that contacting each other works, Talent Hub open here, is if there is a two-way agreement where if someone applies to a job and then you accept that applicant, then it sort of opens a chat between the two of you in your inbox. So I don't think I have any, you know, current people that I have in my inbox, but I think that's kind of how contacting each other works. So not sure if I misread your question, but hopefully that answers it regardless of which it was. Sorry, I think there was another question. Pull it up. Can you show us your personal favorite Talent Hub profile and explain why? Yes, the cool, well, one of the things I think about Talent Hub is that a lot of the profiles, they expire after 30 days. So I will kind of just redirect to the screenshots that I've taken and kind of go back into the job profile, talk about why I like it. So unfortunately, a lot of profiles that I like may not still be active, but I can kind of reshare some of the ones that I shared in the presentation. Cool. So yeah, so not to completely kind of repeat myself, but some of the job profiles I really like are ones here, like from iJava. I think what I really like about this is that there's a lot of information, but it's really easy to read. So, you know, it isn't like a super long paragraph that I have to read through it in order to understand like what their accomplishments are, what they're good at. Like I mentioned before, the other thing I really like about this is that there are a lot of links. And so it's really easy to scan through, but it's also really easy to get more detailed information. So you can basically check out this game. You can actually go in and play. And if it seems high quality and I'm impressed by it, then I can easily tell this is someone that I might want to work for. I also think, you know, one thing that people do is they spam too many skills. I think they kind of have a good level of skills here where it's easy to tell what they're good at, but it doesn't feel like they've just added every single skill possible. And so I think, you know, this kind of profile, I know that they have a lot of experience. And so maybe it's easier to create a great profile if you've already done a lot. But I really think the balance of being easily scannable as well as kind of really employing the trust but verify credo, where you can kind of go in and see their presence and look at their games, is something I really like about this profile. Sweet. Let's see if we have any more questions. Yeah, this is definitely one we get a lot in terms of, you know, not being able to apply to some jobs. We're definitely thinking about being able to add more information on why that case is. There's a lot of things like being verified, or some creators didn't check a box that says that they're allowing other creators to invite them to apply. And so there are a lot of nuances to being able to apply, or making sure your profile has been moderated and it's all the information has kind of been confirmed and your account is ready to go. So it is definitely complicated, and it's a very, very valid pain point. And I think we're going to try to look into that as soon as we can to help give more information. Oh, sweet. I see another one I think I missed. There are many things affecting my workflow. There is the forums that is locked to regulars, with suggestions or things along those lines. That's a really good question. I feel like the forum is the number one. Oh, sorry, just to read the question out loud. I'd love to suggest features or fixes. There are the forums, but those are locked to regulars. What's a good way to get involved with suggestions or things along those lines? I think generally the forum is the number one way we receive feedback. Jed, do you have any other thoughts there on maybe how to give feedback outside of the forum?
So I think the forum is definitely the best place. I think in the case where you would like to give feedback, but you don't have the right trust level, like through the main forum feedback flows, you can always just drop us a direct message. We read all of those. So that's a way for anyone to be able to reach out to us as well.
Sweet. All right, we only have 2 or 3 minutes left. Maybe we'll give it an extra minute or two and then call it a day. Sweet. Mobile support. Yes, so that's actually something we're currently working on. So we're currently working on building out the design for mobile support. Don't want to completely promise exactly when that'll be out, but it isn't just something that we know is a big issue. We've already kind of started working on planning it out and trying to get it in the hands of devs as soon as possible. So it's currently being worked on, and it's on the roadmap.
Yes, and I think we don't have more questions. Thank you very much. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this fantastic trip through Talent Hub. Big applause for our speaker, Anand Agrawal. And remember to come back at 3 p.m. PDT, 6 p.m. EDT for our next Connect. Production, working at the heart of the team by Roblox Accelerator Program. Bye-bye.